Over the years, I've had different people tell me that they felt like they couldn't show up in a church because God wouldn't want them there, or because lightning might strike when they walk through the door, or because they've done too many things wrong. And every time I've heard somebody say something like that, my response is always the same, that that's not how it works. And as I was thinking about the passage that I want to share today, that was the thing that came to mind. Psalm 65, verse 3 says this: "When we were overwhelmed by sins, you forgave our transgressions." This simple but powerful verse is a reminder that God didn't say, you have to get right first. God sent his son, and God was willing to take that step of forgiveness before we took any steps, before we were working on and making the steps towards really even understanding the weight of our sin. God was taking those steps towards us. He was taking the steps towards reconciling the relationship, the broken relationship that humanity had with him. And I want to say it again because I find it so powerful. When we were overwhelmed by sins, you forgave our transgressions. We do have a responsibility to ask for forgiveness. That's important. But it's important to realize that God sent Jesus and that God took those steps towards that reconciling that relationship while we were still heavily burdened by sin. There's no rule, there's nothing that says that we've got to be a certain way before we approach God. He has already done everything that needs to happen, and he asks us and he expects us to come to him just as we are, in whatever condition we find ourselves, and just humbly submit to him exactly the way that we are, with whatever baggage we're dragging along with us, and then just say, God, I understand what you've done. I understand the steps that you've taken towards me, and I understand that you have already forgiven me, and I accept your forgiveness. That, to me, is the most powerful example of God's love for us. And to me, it helps us to understand that the doors of the church and the doors of heaven and the arms of God are open wide. We just need to take that step towards him. I hope this passage, Psalm 65:3, I hope that brings comfort, but also that it opens that invitation to anyone who feels the way that my friends who have said that to me before. I hope that feels like an invitation to you, that you know that God is there with his arms spread wide open, and he's already forgiven. He just wants us to accept it.